Napoleon is the newest film from Ridley Scott. It stars Joaquin Pheonix as the person, character, historical icon, everything like that, as well as Vanessa Kirby, and of course tells the story of a little bit of Napoleon's life, mostly in his leading years and everything like that. And of course, it is a Ridley Scott film, so I was super excited for it. And I was lucky enough to see it a week early. It comes out in a week from now when I'm filming. Hopefully it'll be up on Wednesday, but whatever. And that is a huge thanks to the TMU I guess arts-ish program, because they let a bunch of film students see this film early just as a Sony screening. If you were one of people to respond to an email, which I was, you could go see this film. So I saw it with some friends. Of course, I gotta say a big thank you. That is why this review is coming out so early. I know there were some TMU people, there were some UFT people, so Sony must have been doing something all around to promote this film, and I was still gonna check it out anyway. This just gave me a nice push to watch it, and honestly, I really enjoyed it. It's extremely different from what I was expecting. I didn't watch a trailer. I'd seen clips here and there, and I was planning on watching it because I love Joaquin Pheonix, I love Vanessa Kirby, I love Ridley Scott. But by taking a satirical approach to this, it's gonna piss a lot of people off, but it really worked for me. I think it's kind of suggested already, but I am at school for film, not for history, not for any of the smart people shit. I am here for film. I know very little, if even the basic stuff about Napoleon. So going into this movie, I just wanted to watch a very well-made movie. I didn't care how historically accurate it was because I don't know really anything about this besides the stuff that everybody, I guess, knows. Like I know some names here and there. It's like, oh, they mentioned this. Oh, yeah, I think that's important. I don't remember what happened, but I think something important happened there. And then obviously you watch as it does. But they chose to make this film almost a satire in a way, which I loved. It's a completely different approach to any historical epic film, yet it doesn't leave out the incredible battle sequences, which obviously I will talk about, and that is no surprise coming from Ridley Scott, making such great films as Gladiator or Alien, all this stuff. Gladiator is an all-time favorite, so is Alien, but Gladiator is definitely the closest comparison to this one with Joaquin Phoenix and Ridley Scott, obviously, but this film is very different because of how funny it is. I was laughing way more than I ever expected to in a Napoleon movie. I mean, from scene to scene, this film is funny with its physical comedy, with its just random lines. You never really know what's coming up next, which I enjoyed. You know, at times it's a little bit tonally imbalanced when you go from like that to like a scene where a lot of people are getting slaughtered, and this film is bloody, but again, I'll talk about that later. But by taking that approach, it helps differentiate this film from all these other ones, like movies that I absolutely love, like Braveheart or Gladiator. Again, I don't care how historically accurate, but they're dramas, they're serious films, whereas this one really felt satirical in a way. They are constantly cracking jokes, or at least the responses are jokes, and just the faces that some of them make and the actions that a lot of them, especially with Napoleon, I thought it really worked. You will definitely have people out there who complain about this, who go into it expecting this crazy, serious film, and it's not that, and it works, as I said. And I will say, it is a little bit tonally imbalanced when they start up the comedy that happens maybe 20-ish minutes into the movie. You're like, oh, okay, this is like weirdly funny, and then it continues and you get used to it, but it does feel a little bit weird to go back and forth between the comedy and very serious mutilations of all these bodies in war. But the war scenes are without a doubt some of my favorite sequences of the year. They are stunning. The way Ridley Scott is able to tell this and show all these different battles in such a small amount of time. I know 2.5 hours is not short, and I was very worried I was going to be bored, but honestly, it absolutely flew by. There was definitely a longer movie in here that got cut down, but talking about the battle sequences, it's so impressive what they can do just with the scope of this. It's not like the whole movie is leading up to this, or the whole movie is leading up to this. They'll just have battle sequences that obviously happen around these times. Stuff I don't know, as I said, yet still you feel the stakes of all of them, I found, and even if it's told or shown in a very short way, it's very impressive, and it looks absolutely incredible. It is so bloody, which is awesome because it makes it feel almost more real. And I kind of like the satirical approach to it because it is an exaggerated version of Napoleon with some of the stuff he's saying, but it does make it feel real that you're not just watching this character who's like, stern faced the entire time, that is saying and doing stuff. You're like, oh, that's kind of weird, stuff like that. I don't know. I thought that worked in favor of the movie. While it still provides some jaw-dropping battle sequences, the sound design is huge and deep. I was lucky enough to see this in IMAX, actually. That's what the screening was. So when they're firing the cannons, which they do a lot in the movie, it is loud. It really kind of rattles you, but in a great way. Another person I have to talk about is Vanessa Kirby, because she is really good in the movie. I do think they underutilize her character a little bit, just because there are times where she is mentioned a lot in the movie, but you don't see her as much. But everything she does, she's really good, in the way that her and Joaquin Phoenix play off each other is very good, and everyone else in the movie is good. It's really those two are the big stars of this, or the main points of the movie. Everybody else is good. They all kind of bounce off each other, and Joaquin Phoenix is able to point his finger and call out all these people in different ways, and it's very funny. It works a lot like that. I will say, for problems though, as I kind of mentioned, there are times where it's totally imbalanced, and the film, although being 2 hours and 38 minutes or whatever, it does feel like there is a longer film in here that was cut down, because there are some moments, kind of as I mentioned, the underutilization of Vanessa Kirby and some battle sequences that are a little bit too short. And it made me just at times wanting more, but by the time the movie ended, I didn't want more out of the movie. It was just a few sequences here, or they're jumping a lot in time. And for me, not being a history buff, going, yeah, but what exactly happened there? That was one thing I did find myself doing a little bit, and it does get pretty silly at times. And as much as that works in favor of the movie, when you go from such a bloody and intense battle sequence to kind of some dumb humor, it doesn't transition well. But again, that is a longer movie being cut down and cutting out some important sequences, but really it told the story that it wanted to tell. I never really knew where it was going. I wasn't sure what the end goal of the movie was, but I'm kind of okay with that when you have a formless movie. I just saw Priscilla. I didn't review it. I think Priscilla's amazing. I think it's one of the best films of the year, but that's another film where you don't really know where it's going, and for some people that'll work really well, and for some people that won't work. And for me, it worked for the most part here, but there were a few times kind of towards the starting middle-ish section, like around the end of first act, early second act type thing, where I was going, okay, maybe we should just move it forward a little bit. But again, those are small problems, because I do think this movie is quite amazing. It's something that will do insanely well at the Oscars, I hope, for sound design. The acting's great. It's directed so well. It looks beautiful. There are so many moments, of course, with the use of blue, because Ridley Scott and Tony Scott love the use of blue, and it's sharp. It feels smart, even being a satirical film. It does feel smart. It feels like the film overall is telling you something. It's just doing it in a way that a lot of people will not understand, which I will be very interested to see what the general consensus of this movie is when it opens to a wide audience, in a week when everybody sees it, because you will have the history buffs in there going, this is wrong, this is wrong. We had a guy nearby that was like, no, this is not it. So it's a movie that will vary. I think it's one that will kind of polarize everybody. So I'm very interested to see the general consensus of it. But for me, I would recommend it if you're interested in a more satirical look at such an iconic figure with some absolutely stunning, incredible, mind-blowing battle sequences. Napoleon is a hilarious, violent, and entertaining look on such a big historical figure. Ridley Scott's choice to take a satirical approach to this helps the film stand on its own against the hundreds of other biopics we've already seen. The battle sequences are pulled off in such a grand way that shakes you to the core, yet there are so many moments filled with comedy that help keep the audience hooked during extended dialogue scenes. Joaquin Phoenix is great in this sillier version of Napoleon, and although a bit underutilized, Vanessa Kirby kills it when she's on screen. I highly recommend this film. I'm going to give Napoleon a 4 out of 5. I'm very interested, if you have already seen the film, what you think of it down below, because as I said, it will be an extremely polarizing film. I think if you go into it knowing that it is a little bit funnier, and sorry for the yelling that's going on out there, they're playing Fortnite, so you know how it is, but I like it. That's the basis of it. I like it. Every single person I talked to had a different opinion on it, which I think is good. I'd much rather have differing opinions than everybody loving something and everybody hating something. It's a good middle ground to be in. Maybe it says something about the film. I don't know. I guess that's personal opinion. But again, if you've seen it or plan to see it, let me know what you think of it down below. And thank you all for watching. I will see you guys next time. Over and out.